Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Basement Quality Banter, episode 41. Hello, Angus.
Luke, how are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Nice
What are
one.
you drinking?
I've got a hiker Sherpa Porter.
Okay, we've done 41 episodes. And it's the first time we've had the same beer.
Is it the same one?
I got a
Hey,
Sherpa Porter too.
were
Oh,
you in there today?
I know. I was not in there today. I was in there last week, but I kept the porter. And other than sponsored beers, I think that's the first time that we've randomly cracked the same beer. That's funny. And mine's
It's
in a Hop On Brewery Tours glass.
pretty black. Right, nice one.
6.8%, 440 ml porter from Hiker. Um, ooh, very smooth, very nice.
Mm. Yeah, I cracked my can. I normally try and crack my can when you're talking, so it hits the microphone and screws you a bit. But there's not much carbonation on that, which is nice. I enjoy that in a porter. It didn't actually hiss much when I cracked the can.
No, mine was the same. Did you say you were trying to drown me out? Is that what the plan is?
Yeah, I like when you're talking.
Yeah. Well, that's because I talk a bit of. Yeah. Okay, I get it. As promised last week, stat update. So Spotify impressions, 1,447 impressions in the last 30 days. Spotify plays that have been complete plays, 447 in total. Apple plays, 499. So a few more people listen to us on Apple. YouTube plays, 337 plays. So for some reason, they like looking at our beautiful noggins, which is interesting. The Facebook group has 172 followers, which has really jumped up recently, and the Facebook page has 108 followers. And our top episode, of course, was the FAF episode 29, and it has 70 YouTube plays. So thank
Nice.
you,
Yeah.
everyone there. Total revenue, sweet FA, but that's the basement quality way.
Yeah, like I think the revenue income shows. I can't even afford a proper shirt these days. I'm just
Yes,
wearing singlets.
yeah, for our listeners, Angus has got the guns out this evening. He was kissing biceps before I hit record, so luckily those listening have missed that show.
I
On
guess
with
if we want
oh
to tease for the people,
oh
want a
yeah
bit of a tease for the listeners,
oh geez
go to YouTube and check out the gun kiss.
lovely. Um, so you are kicking off beer news with the IBA getting spicy.
Yeah, I'm loving this. They're getting spicy, throwing around a few punches. So the latest blog from Sabrina Kunz, who is the CEO, I think she
Yep.
is throwing a few hard questions in the direction of the government. I guess the overall question from the blog post is, why are people who work in the wine industry more important than people who work in beer? And this is all coming kind of off the back of the wine industry asking for an additional $139 million over the next 3 years to address the structural oversupply, rebuild demand, and support businesses facing financial hardship and mental health. Now that I'm sure that triggers a lot of emotions for listeners that work in or are associated with breweries. Certainly sounds familiar to anybody that I've ever talked to who's involved in a small brewery.
Yeah.
The article also suggests that there are more people being affected by the ever increasing prices of beer than people affected by changes in the wine industry. And yet our industry gets $0 in support from the government. Um, I think the wine industry got $29 million last year for just for a year's worth of programs that they were making up. So um, I don't want this to sound like a whinge against the wine industry for them getting the financial support and other forms of support from the government. Uh, bloody good on them for running their government program. Lobbyists, they put in the work. They're getting results. I think much like a brilliant who will go unnamed All Blacks flanker who wrote extensive notes on all the referees and opponents that he was going to play against, strengths, weaknesses, what they seem to be focusing on. I think the wine industry obviously has a very good contact and communication with the government, constantly providing the government solid reasons to continue funding them and providing other support mechanisms. So I think the what I took from Sabrina's blog post is that the brewing industry really needs this person or this group as well. Someone who's got a playbook on how to extract money from the government, how to get support programs from the government, and also providing the government with reasons year after year to keep providing funding to the brewing industry. Uh,
Yeah, it's
so yeah,
yeah,
look,
great.
not whinging, and kind of not whinging over a beer, but having a solid communication pathway to the government and to the people that matter inside the government, and the personal group knowing how to communicate to the government and extracting results. It's going to make a positive difference for our industry.
Not to mention,
Look,
yeah, it's an agricultural product just like wine, and it employs thousands of people like wine does.
yep, and look. Admittedly, it doesn't have the export that wine has, and I think that's one of the arguments that I've seen for the support for the wine industry. But I mean, the export potential doesn't even come close to factoring in why there's $0 thrown at the brewing industry. Yeah, we purchase Australian agricultural products. We employ Australian people. We sell to Australian people. The money stays in Australia. Um, just because it's not exported doesn't mean we should get nothing.
Yeah,
So uh, I think it's brilliant that Sabrina's throwing some lefts and rights at the government, and I hope that continues.
yeah,
But we've also got to focus on finding the people or the group of people or whoever it is that can do the lobbying for the brewing industry, like the wine industry does.
definitely. Yeah,
That's what I took from the article. And
yeah. No, I think it's the change of leadership and the team and the board. Sort of, I guess they're taking a different angle, and good luck to them. I hope we see some progress, and something that will help was announced today that James Smith of the Crafty Pint has joined the board. Industry stalwart. Um, he doesn't sell beer, he doesn't make beer, but he knows a lot about beer and independent beer and the people who make it and the industries around it. And having him on as a consultant into different directions, lobbying and things like that is a really positive appointment, and it'll be really cool to see. And look, with his media like Crafty Pint, the Crafty Pint, cabal, the podcasts and everything like that, might help reach the IBA, reach new heights. It's
yeah,
yeah, a pretty nice day of news for the IBA.
yeah, look, the more people talking about craft brewery, and again, like I said, you're finding those people that know how to talk to the government. Um, I think that's critical to getting some equal footing with the wine industry.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, when I was read the article and doing a bit of research on the wine industry and the brewing industry, I'd actually forgotten about how wine is taxed via the WET program,
39% or
and
29%
yeah,
plus GST.
flat 29% doesn't
Yep.
matter.
Yep.
I,
And
I
it
just got
doesn't
mad.
increase with CPI every year. It
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't increase, hasn't increased in years.
Yep.
Yeah, it just got me mad.
Yep.
Let's
And
move on.
that's why you get those 8% ciders, because then they're actually not ciders, they're flavored wines, so they're taxed as
Yeah,
wines.
they're under the WT as well. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
cider, mead, wine. There was something else as well, which I saw on there, which I
Yeah.
found surprising.
Fortifieds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Uh, Probably some of the sakes or sojus or something might be classified as wines as well. So yeah, so shoksing wine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just got me mad. Next topic.
Next topic, a sad one, Wildflower. So May will see the closure of Wildflower in Marrickville. The plan is to relocate to the original rural setting, which was the original plan. According to Topher, the owner, brewer, blender, Wildflower will continue, however, in a different capacity. Enough beer has been brewed or bottled for about a year. However, moving stock to a warehouse after closing is another expense that they're not looking forward to. So I'm encouraging every wild beer fan to get your funky shoes on and help move as much stock as they can. I'm a huge fan of their Hive, their so wild fermented honey beer. It's just amazing little hint of sweetness. Every year they release that Hive, and I'm all over it like a bee. So I'll be getting some of that delivered. It's a sad announcement. However, reading Topher's essay, it made a lot of sense. It was not an easy decision by the look of it. So all the best for those involved. P.S. They still have events and collab releases booked until May. So please support them while you can, while they're still running. They've got a collab with Garage Project that they do every year and things like that. So yeah, Wildflower to shut up shop and be reborn in a rural setting.
Yeah, I've still got Topher's post in my list of things to read. I haven't read it yet, but I think they're a niche enough product or niche enough brewery that they're a destination brewery. So
Yep.
if they're still having a um, taps on at the rural setting and able to sell beer there, I think they'll still get people through the door because, like I said, they're a niche brewery.
Hmm.
They're not kind of just churning out IPAs and pale ales and porters. Like, they're specialty beers that take months and months to mature and to get into bottles. So um,
Yeah.
I certainly don't think it's the death knell that it would be for a brewery that's just cranking out pale ales and IPAs and like
Yep.
they're a niche brewery, they're a niche brand. People will support them because there's not too many breweries in Australia that are producing their style of beers at that standard. So I think I
Dollar
don't know. I
Bill's
think they'll
probably the
survive.
next big one, but yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Um, Next one I had was the Melbourne Royal Australian International Beer Awards entries is open a little earlier than I expected. However, brewers should be still be able to use their feedback from the Royal Queensland Beer Awards to guide their entries and rebrew some styles. On the matter of the styles that have been added, uh, I've got a list here: Mexican style light lager, Mexican style pale lager, rice lager, Czech style amber lager, Czech style dark lager, West Coast style pilsner, Mexican style amber lager, Mexican style dark lager. In addition, Bohemian style pilsner will be renamed Czech style pilsner, and will follow the US Brewers Association for definition of a Czech style pale lager. They've also put in the decal, some people call them decals, design classes, which is really cool. Of course, there's cider included in the show. Warren and Tina will be head judges this year, so that answers one question we had from last week about Justin Fox staying on with his breakaway comp starting this year, so he won't
Yep.
be head judge there this year. So some interesting classes there, I thought.
So the Mexicans obviously have a good lobbying group.
Mexican style dark lager.
Coffee.
I can't think of a Mexican style dark lager that I've had, so I'm keen to try that. To be honest,
Maybe like super oxidized. Dan Murphy's treated in Darwin at 45 degrees for 6 months. Maybe that's dark enough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the same.
no, don't know. Um,
Uh,
yeah, well, so the Mexican styles are always that really light, sort of adjuncty style beer. So I might have to do some reading up on a Mexican style dark lager because that's a different.
well,
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't been to Mexico, and all I've had is obviously the two brands of Mexican pale lagers that are exported to Australia or brewed in Australia. So maybe there's like a massive dark lager in Mexico that doesn't get exported, and it's a huge style there.
Hmm. Carbon 6 Crack the Code has begun. Crack the Code 26. I have no idea what's going on with the clues that have been released so far. As you said, it would be hard to start with, and they'll get easier. All I know is the actual caches, the little pieces of the puzzle, are within a kilometre of each of the venues once you find out what the venues are. And in the venue, there's a clue to where they actually are surrounding. So they're within a kilometre of the venue. So it really is a really interesting wild goose chase. And that sounds really cool. And speaking of Adzi, he and Matt Wolf, the former head brewer at Beer Baron Beer Co., before that went pear shaped, and Parched before that went pear shaped, are starting a beer podcast. They had their first. Who would do a beer podcast? It's the most stupid thing I've ever heard of. Um,
Yeah.
Matt also teaches brewing at TAFE, the brewing course that himself, Adzi, and myself have done. The Certificate 3 in food processing, specializing in brewing. Um, and as he admitted today, if he can't do, he may as well teach. Um, and it's there's some really good topics that they're going to discuss. Hopefully, we don't have too much crossover with our basement quality banter. I just think Adzi likes the sound of his own voice, and he's got a lot of media experience. So it's Spill the Pint. It's out now. They do have a cool segment. It's called Pub Court, where they raise a topic and then argue over the pros and cons of it. So yeah, Spill the Pints out.
Mhm.
Hopefully, between the two of us, um, we can deliver enough entertainment around the brewing community to keep everyone informed.
We'll see how
And
pub court goes, and if it goes well, we'll steal the idea.
yeah, well, they recorded on a Wednesday. I tried to get in a day earlier on us. I don't know if there's a bit of rivalry here. Two Southeast Queensland, middle-aged men doing a podcast about beer. Oh, I don't know.
I still maintain Adzi stole my tie idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely stole my tie idea. And look, I think we're pretty safe in that we're about half beer content and half other stupid rubbish content. So we're not competing directly with them.
correct.
I don't think Adzi has our Formula One or rugby knowledge.
No,
So I think we're safe.
yeah, yeah. I'm not worried. I think it's actually good that we've got more people talking about beer and shit posting like us. So yeah, I'll listen to them and hopefully they actually mentioned us in their first podcast. So yeah, yeah, that's big ticks. You had something about black hops.
Yeah, I completely missed this. And I didn't actually see when it was announced, but yeah, Black Ops have joined the QHA, the Queensland Hotels Association. Um, so I guess if it makes a lot of sense to just bypass the whole tap contract battle if you join with the association that controls the contracts. So yeah, getting access to all those taps with Black Ops is going to be a massive supply chain for them. And who knows what kind of hoops and hurdles they had to jump through to get signed on as a partner. If it's anything like the major bottle shops, they those conditions certainly won't be in the favor of Black Hops. But yeah, look, that's what you've been over for, right? Access to a much larger market than what you could achieve by yourself.
Well,
Um,
the QHA is an extremely strong force in Queensland. I don't think other states realise they're the reason why you have to own a hotel to have a bottle shop in Queensland. That's why Aldi and Costco can't sell alcohol in Queensland.
yeah.
They also, determine the gaming hours and the artisan licenses, what bottle shops can sell. Especially during COVID, they had to go through QHA to for growlers and things like that. So they're a very, very strong, very old school organization with a lot of members, with a lot of money, um,
Mafia.
keeping holding on to their holding on to their their ways because
Yeah.
if they ever changed those ways, you'd see Aldi with alcohol, you'd see Costco with alcohol, you'd see more bottle shops pop up around. So yeah, interesting. Um,
Yeah, look, I see it as a slightly dangerous win for Black Ops. Much like I mentioned with the big bottle chains, like there's conditions and quotas you have to fill, and it can be pretty severe if you don't meet the expectations. So, look, I've done to get spat out the back in 12 months' time.
mm,
That could be a massive win for them.
well, volume wise, it could really help them move some
Yeah,
volume. So and getting the name out there. So watch this,
yeah,
I guess.
marketing and getting the name brand out there, brand awareness, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's kind of a marketing ploy, I guess.
Yeah. I had The Gathering is coming. Mountain Culture's one day, two session beer festival featuring 8 international and 10 Australian breweries is coming in on the 28th of March. $199 a ticket, and you get tastings for all the venues, from all the vendors, sorry. Very similar to what we saw with Rangers Juicy Festival. So you pay to get in, and then you can just go around and try. So there's not big lineups just for one thing and having to keep paying. So you can't go to both sessions, so don't ask. They've said they've also put in the. You might have seen in the on the Facebook page, one of the terms is not to be a dickhead. It's in their fine print, and look after your new festival friends. I always worry about RSA when there's drink as much as you want sort of things, but they always
Mm.
seem to manage fine. So I think a road trip to Katoomba. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if my ass is conditioned enough to get down to Katoomba. I haven't been riding the bike that much. Is what I mean. My I'm not conditioned to being in the saddle for that long.
Yeah.
We could maybe drive halfway on a trailer and ride the rest.
Alrighty, and let's give this next segment its first official name. So, around the world with Angus. Where are you taking us this evening?
Angus doing stuff around the world. So my random country generator chose Guinea this week, sorry. So Guinea is a small country located in West Africa with a population of 13 million people. Their official language is Francais. And just
We?
doing a bit of background reading, the traditional beer that they have, and it's still made now, is made from sorghum or millet and made for market days, ceremonies, and daily drinking. Often made by the women, and the grain is soaked to trigger germination, and so that's part of the normal malting process. And they malt it and dry, and then they boil the grain to, I guess, kill the germination process and a bunch of germs as well. I guess that could also get killed. And then the fermentation is 1 to 3 days, which results in a slightly alcoholic to non-alcoholic beverage. It sounds very similar to Dongba in Nepal, which I may or may not have had drunk copious amounts on my treks. Very similar where they bring it out, and actually with Dongba the grain is still in the glass, so you're drinking off the liquid off the grain. So I've never actually asked them the exact details. But let's go out and just scoop it out of the fermentation vessel
Yeah,
and give it to you. It's pretty good. I recommend it. I don't recommend Rakshi, which is the Nepalese homebrew spirit. Nasty, nasty stuff. Don't do it. So the largest or the most popular commercial beer in Guinea is Gilux, a Guinea lager. So the name is for a Guinean deluxe lager, so that's the shortening, and it's referred to as the People's Lager. Kind of pleasingly, it's not owned by the two big gorillas, but by a subsidiary company of a very large French beverage company, Groupe Castel BGI. Uh, Very pleasingly, it's still brewed and packaged in Guinea, so employment is kept inside Guinea and packaging and that sort of thing. So that's our trip to Guinea.
that's fantastic. I look forward to our next Around the World with Angus. And all for our beer news, we'll move on to our F1 fandom. Jack Doohan has been signed with Haas as the reserve driver after being sacked by Alpine early last year, mainly due to a couple of off-road expeditions. From all accounts, it's a pretty toxic environment there, and from what I've seen of Flavio Briatore, it's probably pretty true. The Drive to Survive is actually back in a couple of weeks. So I think I really missed it last year. So they were too busy making Cars. Sorry, not Cars. I mean the F1 movie. Same story. But you had Angus's top five interesting points from the 2026 F1 regulation changes.
I think this is top five. I'm going to do a little bit of reading here. So my top five things that I found interesting. You mightn't, nobody else might, but I did. Number five, replacement of the like the highly manufactured tunnel floors to be replaced with a lot flatter floors to drastically reduce ground suction effect.
Ground force effect, yeah.
Somewhat offset by the allowance of larger rear diffusers to assist airflow under the car and through the rear of the car. So kind of seems a little bit like robbing Peter to pay Paul, but I think the overall effect is to reduce that ground suction. Number four, a lot of the pre-26 winglets and other specialty aero parts are about pushing air to the side of the car to avoid kind of messy, turbulent air going across the car itself. The smoother the air across the car, the faster you can go. The less fuel you use, the more efficient the whole system is. So apparently the air that's pushed to the side caused a lot of dirty air onto following cars, which made catching up and overtaking more difficult. So a lot of those specialty parts are now gone. So I guess the theory is that there'll be less dirty air and closer racing. And you'd know this, but for anyone who rides a motorbike, you'll know exactly the feeling when you get up to the rear of a semi-trailer and you'll feel that air pushing you across the road. So, and it makes it hard to overtake. I rode a 250cc motorbike for 7 or 8 years, and yeah, it was almost impossible to overtake semis on that thing, just with that air effect. All right, number three, the F1 cars had a massive off season, losing 32 kilos or 4% of their total weight. Well, the minimum allowed weight was dropped by 32 kilos, and it'll be up to teams to work out where they can strip weight to get down as close to that minimum as they can manage. And I expect there's going to be a lot of innovation in this area to reduce weight and improve performance and acceleration. Um, Less weight is free horsepower. You know, you got to spend money on the engine to get horsepower, but if you lose weight, that's free horsepower. So I reckon there'll be a lot of focus on that area.
There's even rules on how much of the car has stickers on it compared to exposed carbon fiber. So people don't show, like, they've got to have a certain percentage of it covered with their advertising and everything like that. Because if it was up to them, they'd all be black carbon fiber cars, I reckon.
Yeah. Stickers is turbulence. That's bad airflow.
It is.
I wonder if they actually build the stickers into the fiberglass so it's all one smooth kind of surface and it's not actually just a sticker.
They
Wouldn't
they'd
surprise me.
they'd have to. That we'd have to learn, but it'd have to be something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Alrighty, number two, active aero. Bye bye DRS. So there'll be designated straights which will allow drivers to control of the reaming flaps, similar to DRS, but they can do it on certain bits of the track all the time. So boosting top speed with more aerodynamic flap settings. There's also an overtake made, but that still smells a bit like DRS. And my number one thing that I found interesting about the new regs, I really like the recharging options available to drivers and team engineers. So they can choose from braking recovery, so last year's MGU-K system, engine braking, regenerative braking, and lift and coast. So it provides a lot more options than last year, and different styles for each team and driver combinations. And I can easily see different strategies being worked out for different tracks where one type of regenerative system works better than another one. So I think again, this is going to be an area where there's going to be a lot of innovation. And interesting point that when I was reading the article was that that change aligns a lot more strongly with road cars, where that old MGU-H system that's been ditched for this year, and it was felt that that really didn't match with road cars. Um, so
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah. So
So I get the feeling that that F1 is really trying to target faster accelerating cars with a smaller footprint on the track. I think I can't remember the figures, but they're like 20 or 30 mil shorter, and maybe it's narrower and 50 or 70 mil shorter, and the tires are smaller, and so
yeah.
they're really trying to reduce the size of the car. And I think they're really trying to target kind of more overtaking or the possibility of more overtakes
Yeah.
and more interesting racing. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Look, I think that's a lot of the reason why they've made it smaller, and this overtake mode can still be used to defend as well. So unlike DRS, then it could only be used for the chasing car. You can use it as a strategic defense. So look, all new regulations, an extra new team, a couple of new manufacturers of engines. It could be a really interesting year to watch, and there should be some really cool racing. So looking forward to it in coming up in March with the Aussie GP coming up first. So um, lovely chat. Thank you everyone for listening and um, logging into YouTube to watch our ugly faces and jumping onto the Basement Quality Banter Facebook group. And I will talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Lucky. Thanks, everyone.
All
See
right.
ya.
Cheers. Thank you all.